Everyone. I'm Cynthia Myers-Morrison, and welcome to the Food Addiction Institute webinar, our regular every other month program. Today's program will be with Esther Helga Guðmundsdóttir, and she is going to be presenting on INFACT, the International Food Addiction Counselor Training. Esther Helga has many credentials, which you will see at the end of the program, but the ICRC Certified in Addiction Counseling and Clinical Supervision. She has trained with FAI ACORN, Food Addiction Professional. She's the director of the MFM Recovery Center in Iceland, a food addiction and eating disorders treatment center, and has served over 2,000 people in the last 10 years, not the last year, thank goodness. In fact, the International Food Addiction Counselor Training is intended for those who by profession are already working with people in need of counseling or coaching for eating, food compulsion, and recovery, and those who seek to enter this area. So without further ado, let me encourage you to listen, soak up this wonderful woman's experience and her plan for food addiction, food use disorder professional training program, which will provide an opportunity to deepen knowledge about food addiction by a series of activities taught by a team of international experts on sugar and food addiction treatment and recovery. So welcome to everyone who's here, and thank you to David Wolf and to Mark Sharon, our technical people working on this today. And we're hoping that this, as well as the others, will be out and available for you to review all of the webinars soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cynthia, so very, very much. And I just wanted to say thank you for being here. I'm deeply honored to have the opportunity to come here and introduce this training. And my heart is really full of gratitude because I've had this dream of setting up a training like this for years and years now, and not had it was just not the right time, I guess, and not had the energy or the courage to do it until now. And I would not be doing this at this point except for encouragement, repeated encouragement from my colleagues all around the world, and support of my supervisors and supporters. And as I say in the end of the PowerPoint show, is that we can do what I cannot do alone. So this is, even though I'm launching this I look at as a joint effort to launch something new that actually Phil and Mary and the ACORN has started into with their professional training. So INFACT.IS stands for International Food Addiction Counselor Training, and the website will be up and running hopefully next week. It's being worked at. I couldn't do it in time for this one, I'm sorry to say, but it should be in a few days or a week. And what I'll be introducing here today is the training and what it consists of. And then in part, so that is part two. One, I'm sorry. And then part two is the IFAC, which is the International Food Addiction Counselor Certification, which is possible for people that have had this training, and is hopefully going to be an aim for those that do that in order to be certified in the field of food addiction counseling. So I myself had when I got abstinent almost 14 years ago, I realized that I had finally found a solution to my eating and food addiction problems. And so I started trying to find ways of learning to be able to assist others, so others would not have to suffer as I felt that I had to do in order to get recovery and treatment for this disease. And one of the first people that I came across was my mentor here in Iceland, which is or was a principal of the addiction counseling school here. And I did that program. And as a result of me doing that program, I've been able to launch into a career in addiction counseling. And then when I met Phil and Mary and got did their training, it supported me to go into food addiction counseling more at a deeper level and with more knowledge. And so what I'm intending to do is to gather those two very, very important ways together. And in my experience, after my 10 years of working in the field, I feel that it is and will be increasingly more important for us to have something that will be supported by, how would you say that, international, something like substantial, like the ICNRC and the Nordic Baltic Regional Certification Board, which are international boards that certify people that are in this line of work for addiction, and to cooperate with those boards. So this is what I have done and am doing, and working with them in order to set standards for this kind of work. INFACT International Food Addiction Counselor Training, and we'll go right into it. The INFACT International Food Addiction Counselor Training for IFAC, International Food Addiction Counselor Certification, is intended for those who by profession work in the field of counseling for eating and food compulsion treatment and recovery, or those that intend to, whether it be within the health and social sector, for private practices, or with companies, within companies or organizations. So anybody basically with qualifications and can go into this training and study this, and in order to do further their education on and being able to assist people that may have food addiction and eating addiction. And the goal is, goal of the INFACT, as you see it there, IFAC training, is to offer specific education on eating and food addiction treatment and recovery, and increase the knowledge and quality of those who work in the field of prevention and counseling for this disease. And this following is very important. Everyone applying for the training needs to have recommendations from referees. And so we are establishing a degree or certification method that and it feels, and I feel that a big responsibility in order to set something up like that no one enter or be certified out of this kind of a degree except the person that may become qualified to do this work. So the formal training time is 4 months, 150 hours, 100 hours of organized online or on-site lessons. 50 hours are suggested hours for homework, student group work, and assignments. And and the first training will start February 4th, 2017, and consist of 15 weekly 4-hour sessions on Zoom, weekly assignments, student groups, and on-site 5-day intensive at the end of the series. The training concludes with examinations, a final presentation of each participant, and a certification for successful participation. So the training is the training, and there is, just to further on this, there will be material I'm going to show you, such as this, that is the package that we will go through. We will also during this these 4 months, so this is kind of the basics to become a counselor, food addiction counselor. Then we will have further lecturing on different aspects of specifically food addiction treatment within these weeks. I will come to that a little later. And I have suggested to have the online study group on Saturdays in the middle of the day in Iceland, in order for people from different parts of the world to be able to participate in the training. Okay, so, and you will get opportunity, and please do ask questions as I go, when I have finished going through this. So what the INFACT training consists of and addresses is all of this, and plus a lot more, I'm pretty sure. Basic knowledge on addiction as a disease, specifically, of course, sugar and food, but also on substance and behavioral addictions. And then we will do section on screening, intake, and assessment. Counseling will be, of course, worked on through the whole thing. What do we do for counseling, how to do that, and to learn different ways of, different techniques. So we practice with, and the students supposed to practice with each other between sessions. So treatment programs, reports, and record keeping, these are kind of basic study things. Trauma, then it comes to trauma intervention and various counseling techniques. Prevention, education, and lecturing, those will be gone into, and at the end of the series, at the intensive, each participant is going to present their final what's the word for it? It will come to me. Their final paper, or oh, the word is not there. Their final paper for the program. So, if, for example, if a person can see that through this training they will be good within, if the person, for example, is a nurse, and that they can see that they may be able to adjust this program into the work environment, they would have a paper that they would present as a lecture on that specific agenda. So referrals and co-working with other professionals, very, very important, not so much done in this field yet. Ethics. Ethics is one of the big things, and legal issues and confidentiality. This is something that these certifying boards hold up as a very, very important issue. Special ethnic groups, minority groups, cultural diversity, addiction as a brain disorder, biology and chemistry of it. And of course, we will have specifically on, and even some on medication. Dr. Vera Tarman is going to be one of the lecturers, and she will most likely do some part of it. She will do this one and also take in medication. Psychological, emotional, and personal growth of client. 12-step recovery and philosophy of self-help groups. We will address comorbid conditions such as ADHD, codependency, mental health, trauma issues, relapse prevention, food plans, and lastly, establishing individualized treatment or recovery practices. We will go over what and how for those. So there's a lot of material that we will go over, and prepare yourself to be busy for these 4 months. So the price is $2,400 for the whole thing. And the included in price is 4 months of training, 15 weeks of weekly 4 hours lessons and online support, 5-day intensive on-site training at conclusion of the series, all lessons, lectures, material, online secret internet and support group, and along with help with credentialing and certification from the Nordic Baltic Regional Certification Board. And I just want to mention that cost of travel and lodging for the on-site training are not included in price, and there will be for sure additional cost for people with reading material. I will be suggesting books and readings for participants, and those might of course cost if you don't have it already. So for locations, as you hear, this is online for the most part. But for a program like this, you know, you cannot just do this online, in my opinion, and many others. So we will have like a 5-day intensive at the end of the series of 15 weeks, and that is supposed to be at the end of May or maybe early June. I will actually address that with the people that are participating. I have no idea how diverse the group will be. I might have maybe 10 people in Iceland and then 10 people from all over the world, and so we'll just have to find a way to do those 5 days, and depending, but I know that I do want to do one here in Iceland, but then maybe I will do one in the States if there is a lot of participation in Iceland, but in the States. But I am actually hoping that people will just come to Iceland and enjoy our wonderful country. So, but that is something that will be addressed once I know who is going to be participating. So let me see here. So this is the training, basic points. Part 2. Nordic Baltic Regional Certification Board certification for IFAC, which would be the letters for International Food Addiction Counselor. So here's a reading, and I think I will just read it through because it's a good reading to maybe help you understand why do we do this in accordance with the board that certifies addiction counseling. In order to set up an international professional training for food addiction counseling, and further qualification requirements and understanding of treating sugar, food addiction, and various eating disorders as an addiction, we have looked to the NBRCB, which is the Nordic Baltic Regional Certification Board for Alcohol and Drug Counselor Job Analysis, identified for the NBRCB Alcohol and Drug Counselor Examination. This board, just for education, is a member of ICNRC, which is an international certification and reciprocity. So this ICNRC is something that I am certified by as an addiction counselor. And the Nordic Baltic region is on its way to become the European sector of this international board. So this credentialing and certification process provides a much needed standardization to the rapidly growing understanding of and evolving professions of sugar and food addiction treatment and recovery. I want to just include in this one that what I and many of my colleagues have talked about through the, especially in the last years, as the understanding of sugar and starch, being such an health issue, and also the people are starting to understand that it has addictive potentials, that a lot of people are thinking that they can, just do any different ways of treating this. And so I was concerned that the knowledge and understanding of this as an addiction was needed. And this is maybe why I'm really pushing this into the world, that we need to get the word out that not everybody is going to be able to do this by themselves. We see all the people that cannot stop smoking, and they're talking about sugar and starches as the tobacco of today, and people just die when they can't do it. So this is to connect to the addictional part and to give professionals a possibility to study and learn about addiction and what the differences are between treatment for addiction versus treating something that you can use other methods with. So let me see. For professionals, becoming credentialed demonstrates competency by having professional expertise and qualifications verified by an independent evaluator. It recognizes achievement of a standard of professional education and experience necessary to provide quality sugar and food addiction treatment and recovery services. In addition, credentialing demonstrates ongoing learning through the required continuing education for recertification. Credentialing also provides employers, clients, and their families with the assurance that you have met internationally recognized standards of professionalism and ethics. Now I'm trying to get the pictures up here so I can see. So for the public, credentialing assures that service providers have met a level of competency and determined by an international consortium of professionals adhering to the highest standards and integrity. So I think in order for proper treatment for sugar, food addiction, eating addiction, something like this is extremely necessary, that we educate professionals in this field. And having been in the field, just to say a little from my personal note, is that when I've tried to work with, and I've done a lot of working with obesity professionals, they simply do not have the education on addiction, and they do not understand what addiction and addiction treatment is all about. And they kind of and that makes it difficult for them to adjust their treatment to that, or trust that 12-step recovery. They can see in some instances that it is working, but as professionals like doctors and nurses, there seems to be difficulty for them in really sending people out there toward that. So in my opinion, there need to be a professional, a profession that really goes in between. And that's what has happened here in Iceland. I formed the recovery and treatment center here in Iceland. And for 10 years, there's been a body of a treatment center, outpatient seminar-based treatment center, that has really doubled the participation of OA and Gray Sheeters Anonymous here in Iceland, because people were not willing to go straight into the 12-step programs, but they were willing to have treatment or some kind of assistance from a professional. And as a result of that, they were willing to go into 12-step programs. So also for other professionals, there is real necessity, in my opinion, that there is such professionals, food addiction counselors. It's a missing link, I think, at this point. So, and the more that we have, the more the word will spread. Another thing I wanted to say is that I have also tried to combine and work with addiction counselors and treatment centers for other addictions. And they, incredibly, it's so interesting, they belittle the problem of food eating and food addiction. So that we don't really have allies in either sector of these professionals. So we just need to get strong ourselves and get the word and the treatment methods out there into the world, in my opinion. All in my opinion. So the following, what I'm going to go over now is the requirements for the NBCRB certification as IFAC. And so that you may understand that the INFACT training is going to assist you toward getting certification, but then you need certain requirements in order to complete and get certified by the NBCRB. So I also want to say that the following will be assessed for each applicant individually. And as this program is being designed and started out in cooperation with the Nordic Baltic board, we are like really in the trenches of getting the standards and ready. And so the first group is a little bit of a trial, and it's also thought of as grandfathering a lot of people that have already been in the field into the field with certification. So, so these requirements that I'm going to be going over are being worked on as we speak. So education, the INFACT training contains 150 hours of education toward the 300 hours required by the Nordic Baltic specific to the IFACT domains. So 6 hours of that must be specific to the ethics, which is already included in the IFACT training, or INFACT actually. Other equivalent courses in education will satisfy this requirement. So I just want to say that for people, for example, that have done the professional training with Phil and Mary and the Acorn, or something similar, or Bitten maybe in Sweden, you know, their hours will be will satisfy the requirements for the 300 hours of education for the certification. There will be an examination at the end of the training, and the examination will be worked on and adjusted with the board of NBC-RB. And if people won't, there are certain rules and regulations around if you don't pass the test, then you can retake it. So just so that you know that. It's not a test that is trying to fail you, it's a test that educates you further. So supervision, and I just want to say that in requirements for ICNRC, which is where the Nordic Baltic is a member of, they ask for 300 supervised hours, but at this point, I was on the phone with the board director of Nordic Baltic this morning, and he actually advised me to take that out for now, while we're finding a way to have the requirements and what we need to have them, but it's just not possible for a training like this with people all around the world. But there will be, for everyone applying for the certificate, they will need to have recommendations from referees. So that will be, for now, for this one, the requirements that the references and recommendations need to be from people of recognition, from people that can be trusted to do that. So the code of ethics, again, applicants must sign a council-specific code of ethics statement or affirmation statement. And there is a statements from NADAC and ICNRC that we have used and will be using with a little changing of wording. So that would be something that everybody needs to sign on to. So work experience. So this is the work experience needed in order to get the final certification can be from 1,000 to 6,000 hours, depending. So, but if you do have, the more education you have, the more coursework, the kind of work that you have done will add up to these 6,000 hours for sure. And for somebody that has a master's degree in behavioral science, for example, you know, that will substitute 4,000 hours, and then that person might have, you know, done some addiction counseling, and then that also adds to it. So the work experience will be evaluated individually for certification. And then there is recertification every 2 years. And the requirements is 40 hours of continuing education earned every 2 years. What I am hoping is that, you know, the many wonderful pioneers of food addiction in the world will be doing courses that we can participate in order to recertify ourselves. I've been doing a lot of courses also for different addictions like gambling or debting, or for different kind of counseling techniques and such. So it's been very easy for me to get this the continuing education for this. Okay. So I'm toward the end of my presentation, and this is just a little bit about me. I'm not going to dwell on it. This is something that Cynthia so gracefully introduced me with. I do have a master's degree in managing health services. I have the ICNRC certified. I'm ICNRC certified in addiction counseling and clinical supervision. So I do a lot of clinical supervision, for example, with my employees through the years, and others working in the field. So that would be something that I'd be able to do with people working in the field. I've done the Food Addiction Institute, ACORN Food Addiction professional training, which I am so grateful for, and has made it possible for me to be doing my work and to have done my work through the past 10 years. And that's something that I suggest to anybody interested is to participate in one or more of these also. So Director of MFM, Educational and Recovery and Treatment in the Iceland for eating and food addiction for the last 10 years. I'm 10 years now with my recovery center. And my specialty, I say, is sugar and food addiction, eating disorders, codependency, other addictions. I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist, and I use a lot of that in trauma-based work. Most of my clients through the years have had severe trauma in their lives, and so at least knowledge and a way of referrals, very, very important for those people. And of course, codependency, a major issue for almost anybody doing in this field. So I'm also chair of an organization here in Iceland, Matarheill, which is a kind of a sister organization to Food Addiction Institute, and we've been working on the rights for paid treatment for sufferers of eating and food addiction here in Iceland. And I'm of course on the board of Food Addiction Institute, and I did some years back participate in setting up and organizing a university degree on addiction studies and counseling at the University of Iceland. That was in 2008 when the crash was here in Iceland, so it never really flew off, but some parts of it is being used in the sociology department of the university at this point. But my part of it about food addiction has not been included in that. So finally, I want to express again my thanks to the many that have encouraged me to go on with this project. We can do what I alone cannot. And lecturers and teachers in the program. I'm saying pending approval because I haven't really reached everybody, and I know that I'm going to be trying to reach more people than even I mentioned there. But Dr. Vera Tarman is going to be a lecturer, Bitten Jonsson, Grace Folias, Teresa Wright, and Dave. And I just talked to David Wolf, and he'd probably come in there too. I'm hoping from the bottom of my heart that Phil Riddell will be giving us permission to use his material. In my mind, he is probably the most knowledgeable person on food addiction treatment in the world today. I'm hoping to have Marty, and we're missing a T in his name there, Lerner, to come in and to do some work with us. He has such wonderful experience with eating disorders and food addiction. Of course, I will be the director and kind of a main teacher of the program with lecturers coming in. And Stefan Johansson is my mentor here in Iceland. He is the board member of Nordic Baltic, and he, along with a professor in the sociology department in Iceland, which is also on the board, are the people that I'm working with on getting finalizing the certification process with the Nordic Baltic.
Can we open it up to questions now, Esther?
Absolutely. So I'm going to open up here participants, questions and answers.
Please raise your hand. Click on the raise hand thing and we'll try to promote you to a panelist.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Thank you for the presentation and everything that went into it. I just have a question about an application process. Is that going to be forthcoming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I was just realizing that I hadn't finished the application form. I was actually going to do it, but then I forgot again. And but if you're interested, please send me your email address, and I will send you one. And there will be I have it on my, I'm working on the application form.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Great.
Sherry Goodman. Okay. Oh, so so here's some questions. And Whitney, how can I stay in contact? Email, application again, application. And oh, I forgot to put my email on there, I guess. It's Esther. No, I think it's on the front of it, of the PowerPoint, and I'm not sure if you guys will be able to get the PowerPoint, but my email address is Esther, ESTHER, at M like in Magnus, F like in Frodo, M like in Magnus, .is, like Iceland, S like sun. That's my email address. So please email me for application and further information.
Okay, Sherry has a question.
Are the sessions going to be in English? I know that's maybe a silly question, but
yes, of course, they're going to be in English.
And the certification program that you talked about, or the certifying board, that's not particularly available to in the States, is it?
Oh, absolutely. It's an international board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of a reciprocal certification consortium, Sherry.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for your work.
What will be the difference between getting certified with ICNRC and the Baltic Division? Okay, so that's an excellent question. The ICNRC is the kind of the umbrella of different sections, and Baltic, the Nordic Baltic is one of those, and we have been in correspondence with the ICNRC and actually met one of the board members last spring here in Iceland. She was traveling here, and she's on board with what's happening, but it will take less time to work on this with the Nordic Baltic board than with the ICNRC. So that's why we are starting off with doing this with that board, and they are actually becoming, as I said in the beginning, the European part. And but then what I'm hoping is going to happen as a consequence of this work is that the ICNRC will have this certification as well. But this is the way that I've been offered to get this going. To get a certification process at all for food addiction counseling, it's the first time it's done. So so I think it's a real opportunity that I do have two Icelandic board members from from the Nordic Baltic so close to me that I can really work with them, and they know my work. And so we're working in close, working together very closely, and they are working very closely with the ICNRC. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it will be something that I'm hoping that will come as time grows. This is to begin the process. So what is the best way to share this opportunity with colleagues? As we're live. Well, I am presently setting up a letter and an ad with the PowerPoints, and so that I can send this out. I am hoping to have ways, I'm not sure yet. I know that I will be doing introductions about this here in Iceland, but then if you guys know of people interested, I'm always ready on Skype or by phone or Zoom to set up a meeting to explain and go over the training. And please do share. I think I'm hoping that and it's been my sense for a long time, actually. It's been my sense that here in Iceland, with the people that have come to the conferences on food addictions that we've had, that a lot of professionals are deeply concerned about the issue of obesity and the addictive part of it, and really sincerely want to learn more on what they can do to assist people with this disease. So, and I suggest that a lot of people around the world would be interested in something like this. So please let it know. And if I get your email addresses, I can send you the info package that I'm preparing. So this opportunity for me here is to really get the timeline going for this, and now the informational package is almost ready, an application form, so I can just start sending that out to anybody interested. And if you know of anyone, you just let me know.
Esther's email address again is in the chat window and in the Q&A window.
I actually had a question to the people listening. If you please, if there's anything that is unclear to you, that you would, just really know more about, and of course, if you were interested personally to do something like this, become a food addiction counselor in some capacity, please let me know, and also in what way I can do this better, in order to get the word out. Any concerns that you may have, I'd really appreciate all kinds of feedback from you guys. Alex asked, can I see record? Yeah, is this record? This is going to be, this is recorded, isn't it, David and Mark? Yeah.
Yes, it's recording.
Yeah, so how are people going to be able to get the recording and maybe the PowerPoints?
It'll be both. We'll try to post both on the Food Addiction Institute website within 2 weeks.
Ah, okay, wonderful.
And Esther Helga, we're thrilled to have had the opportunity to hear you, to experience this information, and to be able to pass it on to many others with whom we are colleagues and friends. Before we close, Mark, would you like to say a short thing about the Food Addiction Institute and our One Question More campaign?
Well, just a tad. Again, thank you, Esther, so much for your presentation about your forthcoming training. It's very exciting. On behalf of the Food Addiction Institute, I just want to say that we are planning a campaign to help healthcare and allied health providers learn how to do a better and better job at bringing up issues of food use disorder and food addiction as part of their interactions and treatment of their patients and clients. And that campaign will be launched, we are hopeful, in the late spring or early summer. And we're always open to having people who want to join us in that effort. If this sounds interesting, please contact us through the Food Addiction Institute website. And we'll be pleased to have you join with us in bringing this campaign about.
Thank you very much. And that is, again, foodaddictioninstitute.org. And thank you to all of you. And David Wolf, thank you for being our recording expert today. And to Esther Helga Guðmundsdóttir, thank you so much for your presentation and for your remarkable work in this field. So thank you, everyone, and come back again. In not next month, but the following month, David Wolf will be sharing with us from a different perspective. He will be sharing regarding food addiction and nutrition. So come and join us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Good day.